5:30 tonight, yes.
5:30. Okay. Good evening, everybody. Let's convene for a roll call. Leah?
You have to call. Come on,
Yeah.
call to order.
Call to order.
Yeah, you have to call it officially.
Would like to call us officially to order. San Lorenzo Valley Water District Board Meeting, May 7th, 5:30 p.m. Thank you.
President Russ.
Here.
Vice President Lane.
Here.
Director Smalley
Here.
and Director Foltz.
Here.
Thank you. Brian's already on.
Brian's out. Okay. All right. Thank you. Are there any changes to the closed agenda?
There are no changes to the closed agenda.
Okay. And don't see anyone here, anyone online for public comments? Okay, great. Then let's adjourn to the closed session. Hello, Gage, how are you? Glad to have you.
Hi, I'm doing well, thanks.
Okay, good. All right, I guess we're going to go to closed session.
I can go, just not right now.
I have first item on.
You're first up. All right.
I'll start with you.
Okay, is that time?
Almost.
1:60.
29.
Anytime now.
All right, good evening. I'd like to reconvene San Lorenzo Valley Water District Board Meeting, the public session here at 6:30 on May 7th. Lee, would you please take roll?
President Russ.
Here.
Vice President Lane.
Here.
Director Smalley
Here.
and Director Foltz.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's see, so thank you. There's no reportable actions taken from the closed session. So I wanted to mention that. And are there any changes to the public sessions agenda?
Yeah, item 9A will be continued until next board.
Okay,
9A.
right.
Okay.
That's the unfinished business piece.
Okay.
Okay. Well, then that pulls us right into new business, review and discussion about the board policy manual.
Communications. Oh, communication.
Oh, what's that?
Communication.
Oh, wow. It's right there in front of me too. Thank you. Anybody? Oh, okay. Bruce, welcome.
Good evening. I'm Bruce Holloway from Boulder Creek. I wanted to bring up the connection fee. The district has a connection fee if somebody wants to get service from this district. They make an application and then they wind up paying this connection fee. And the last time that it was adjusted was almost 9 years ago in 2017. And the connection fee that they came up with was $10,577. So there was a consultant who worked on that at the time. And as I recall, they came up with 2 different methodologies. And then they decided on an 80-20 blend, I think, between the 2 methodologies. And that's how they got that $10,000 number. Well, the inputs into this calculation, I think the district has grown a lot in 9 years, done a lot of capital investment in 9 years. And I really think that this connection fee should be updated every 2 years. So I think the board should adopt a policy that it should be done every 2 years. I think we should put it on the to-do list for the general manager in the next 12 months. And I think you ought to put it on the finance committee agenda, because I haven't seen the agenda for next week's finance committee meeting, but that might be a good time to start talking about it. Now, I don't think the district needs to hire a consultant to do this, I think you can read those reports and plug in new numbers and come up with a pretty good amount. I mean, you don't have to be the most aggressive, but my gut feeling is that it should be maybe closer to 15,000 at this point. And I think that's a substantial increase. And I think it would be negligent really to keep this dragging on. The other thing that's important about this is that to me, it seems like this would be the starting point when you negotiate with another private mutual water association that wants to join the district. If it costs $10,000 a house minimum for somebody to join the district, that's a starting point for how much it's going to cost for those houses on the west side of town. To me, that's what it seems like. And you ought to take the opportunity to reevaluate and come up with a more current number. So please don't, I know this is not the first time we've brought this up. So please do it in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else remotely?
Nobody with their hand up.
No.
Thank you very much. We'll move on now from oral communications to new business, which is the board policy manual. Jason, did you want to start with that?
Sure. This has been ongoing for a few years now. I believe it was initially started in 2024, so it's gone through several revisions. The most current one was going to be presented at the February 19th board meeting, and then that was tabled for review from the ad hoc committee by you and the Director Foltz to make sure that all voices were heard and all comments were given their merit. And what's in front of us tonight is the results of that ad hoc committee. So staff's recommendation is that the board review this thoroughly and see if this is the policy manual they wish to adopt.
And just for clarification, legal has reviewed.
Legal reviewed the one on the 19th and has reviewed this one as well. Engaged is prepared to make any legal statement.
Okay. Okay, great. Good to have you available, Gage. So let me just take a minute and kind of outline what I think I would like to have as a process. Because obviously this has been, as you say, going on for 2 years, and it's been at times contentious. And obviously we would like to get through it in hear all the comments and be courteous and hopefully brief, because we do have other business to take care of tonight. I think our mission is to create a document that will provide guidance to both the current directors as well as future directors of this board. And so I want to apologize in advance if in my trying to keep things on track or limit discussion, I cut someone off. I just want to warn everybody ahead of time. I hope it doesn't come to that. And just by way of background, as Jason had said, Director Foltz and I had met several times and spent a fair amount of time going over this. Our intention and my intention was to try to identify as much common ground as possible, whether it be hot links or just really digging into what state regulations did impact us. And so I think in that respect, the document has been greatly helped by being updated with all of those links and clarifications. And so I'm sure there will be items that we will spend time on, and appreciate everyone being courteous and to the point. So I guess I would like to start the discussion, Bob, with you, if you would like to present your thoughts.
Well, I think the thoughts are probably inherent in the modifications that have been made into the board policy manual that's in front of people. I do appreciate the fact that I think Bob and I had a great collaboration on this. It does represent a compromise in many areas between what I originally started with as concerns and what Bob and I discussed and came up with alternative language to address those. I think you can tell from the section, particularly on censure, which was the primary change that had been made in the last version in February. And clearly, since that censure threat had been issued against me a number of times in the past for what I consider to be specious reasons around only my advocacy about certain topics, it became an area that I really wanted to make sure that we addressed in a way that turned it from what I perceived the original language to be as nothing more than political score settling to something that could actually be looked at as a fair process and a process to actually get to what I think we should all want to get to in local self-government, and that is the truth. And so I'm very happy. I can tell you, Bob made lots of suggestions in that area to make it hopefully politically palatable to everybody, because it certainly wasn't where I started. And that gets to, I think, the spirit of compromise that we entered into this. There are a number of other sections in here that were substantially revised around training. I do think that one of the areas, certainly in my 8 years on the board, that we and probably other special districts fall short in is giving everybody the requisite training, not only in sort of basic things about what the district's all about, but in the statutory things as well. And those statutory things have changed, and I think have changed in some ways for the better, particularly around the financial areas, the training around finances, which is important. Excuse me. So I expect that there will be comments on some of these, and I'm certainly prepared to discuss, in particular areas where there were substantial changes made. I'm very much prepared to discuss the reasons for those, and depending on how detailed we want to get, I actually have some backup material that would probably help as well, if we need to get to that point. I view this as a good outcome and probably a model for how things should be done in the future, where there are really divergent viewpoints that need to come together to create a document. It was very nice to be able to have frank and productive conversations and not have the feeling that things are just being rammed down the throat of somebody that in the past has dissented in key areas. And the respect for minority rights that Bob brought to the table, I think, was really, really important. And I thank you for that. It was a good process, and hopefully this is something that if we can't all agree on as is, certainly we can make the modifications necessary to get to that point. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Okay. Mark, would you like to go next?
Sure. On page 15, under the training that references fiscal and financial training, I see that there's a reference to prevention of workplace violence, but it doesn't mention that. So
Yeah, looks like a copy paste there.
okay, and that's what I expected that was. On page 17, a paragraph references candidates for director. To me, that seems irrelevant to a board policy manual, since this applies to folks that are already elected.
I'm sorry, which specific area are we talking about here? I'm looking at pages maybe that are differently numbered.
I referenced agenda pages
Oh,
in this.
Oh, not,
And then
oh,
it
you're on
moves.
the original agenda, not the amended.
Page three.
Page
Um,
3 of the board policy manual.
Candidates for director.
I'm looking at one- Maybe I'm looking at wrong ones too. I'm looking at 152, 153.
Yeah, that's the amended. I think you have to add 137 for 134. I remember figuring it out to make them
Section,
line up.
section F.
Hang on a sec. Make sure that we're all looking at the same document. So the document I have is 5726 amended 2 with backup. Okay.
You look at page 164, that would reference page 15 of the board.
160.
What's the difference between your 15 or 17? Let's see. Yeah, I was worried about this.
Okay.
Yeah.
164, did you say? Okay, 164 is Board of Directors meetings.
I'm assuming he's referring to
Are we looking at the same document?
page 3 of the new manual, and it reads that candidate for director must file their statement of
Yes.
economic interest no later than the final date for candidate filing.
Right. Yes.
That's one.
What page is that on?
152 of the packet, page 3 of the board manual.
Under the statements of economic interests.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so that's a difference of 149. So for your page 17, does that mean we just add 149 to it?
Oh, no, because we're on 152.
I don't know.
Can we work from? Did you make comments in line?
I sent comments to Jason, but just my comment.
Yeah.
on these. So
Okay, well, we'll work through it as best we can.
I made comments to Jason. So statements of economic interest?
Yeah, I think.
I'm looking at it. I'm following where you're at.
It's the 4th paragraph under statement of economic interest that references candidates for directors. Yes.
Okay, that one here. Okay.
Yes.
What we do is we add 137 to Mark's number to get the board package amended
Okay.
page numbers.
Okay.
Okay, so your page 15 is our page 152.
All right.
Okay.
What about the actual comment though?
Okay.
Yeah. What about the actual comment? Now that you've done the math.
Okay.
Well, candidates can also be directors, right?
Well,
I mean,
that's true.
that's the thing.
But you're already.
We've already filed our
Well, yeah, but
700.
you still have filing requirements unless you have filed in certain timeframes based on your appointments.
Mhm.
And so if you haven't done that, you have additional filing requirements. So this is why I think it needs to be,
Okay.
this is the one area, by the way, that's an exception to director versus candidate. I don't think we covered candidates anywhere else. But it
Okay.
was important, I think, to make sure that anybody that's looking at running for the district, if they're reviewing the board policy manual, understands that they have
This is the filing requirement,
filing
and
requirements.
that may dissuade them.
It could.
Who knows? Yeah.
Okay. I don't necessarily agree on it, but I'm okay. We'll proceed. On to page 22 under the grounds for censure.
159 then,
Okay.
I
I
think.
think it's 157.
Yeah, it's 157. So apparently the spacing is probably off too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Grounds for censure.
Yeah.
I don't like the word proven in any of those. I want to revert back to, I think proven puts a higher burden on the board to come to a conclusion of this. I don't feel that censure is a legal precedent. It's often for something that fellow members disagree with behavior and bad behavior. I recently read about Cabrillo College doing similar. And it was for behavioral items on one of their directors. So that's my strong recommendation on that.
Do we address these as we go through, or do we wait till the end?
I think we should
Bob?
hear from legal.
Yeah. From
Yeah.
everybody first.
Yeah.
Oh,
What are you
I
suggesting,
just
Lee?
think we should hear from legal, what they say, if this is even worth our time to go through comment by comment.
Well, legal has reviewed it.
Right.
As I understand. And I believe, I guess, Gage, we can hear from you, but I believe that a lot of the suggestions looked okay to you, but obviously some still might be,
But it's up to us.
Just for clarification, there were, I think, 4 or 5 specific questions for legal that we should cover through this process that I don't know that we got a response back from legal on yet, though hopefully Gage is prepared to address those.
Here's if I can, do you want me to jump in generally on the censure policy changes?
Sure.
So with the censure policy, the last comment really was correct about what a censure is. It is not something that deprives a board member of anything related to their position. It's just a symbolic statement. Really, it's a statement that the board can adopt, a statement setting forth some disagreement with behavior, with comments, with whatever, as far as it's contemplated in the policy. But it is not a process to deprive a board member of something. So typically, you do not have, I'm going to call it a due process with this, because there is no deprivation at the end. It is a symbolic statement.
That is not true.
Please let him finish.
Yeah.
That's not
Was-
true.
Point of
Hold on,
order.
yeah, let him finish.
Bob, hold on.
But-
Gage, go ahead.
Yes.
So what I was just getting to is that some of the suggested edits would turn this into more of an investigation. And there's a lot of concerns with that. I think one of them is cost, but it's ultimately for the board to consider and determine. As far as what has been proposed, it's been proposed to allow for some of this to occur in closed session. That's not permitted. The censure process needs to happen, even the discussion needs to happen in open session. You cannot have the censure discussion in closed session and then just move to open session for the vote. Now,
Okay.
overall, with the censure policy, I think, it's the board needs to decide how it wants to proceed. And if the board wants to give us direction to maybe revise some of these to accomplish certain goals in a way that would comply with the Brown Act, we could certainly do that. But ultimately, the fundamental point I want to make about censure is just that clarification of what it is and what it is not. So, with that, I'll kind of pause there and then let you guys discuss or ask me more specific questions.
Okay.
So Bob, first of all, it's not true that you're not depriving a board member.
Mark is talking.
Right. It was my point on this. And Gage, I believe, clarified legal position on this. If we want to talk about that specific proven aspect of that one, because I'm objecting to that word in there. I think the rest of the language on that censure aspect is okay.
What I
But-
want to do though is make sure we understand that what Gage said is not true. That is I mean, that basically becomes background information here for discussion. And actually, one of the things in the board policy manual addresses exactly this situation, which is he's made a statement that the board member is not deprived of anything. That is not true.
Well,
You
a
could, in
censure-
fact, deprive somebody of both their participation in committees
Right.
and monetary compensation.
Yes.
Yes.
Not through a
Absolutely.
censure. Not
Are
through
you
a
saying that
censure.
for a censure gauge, it's not an automatic being taken off of public committees?
No.
That also is
No,
no.
no.
But that-
Just a
Censure it's a symbolic statement that the board adopts stating, we agree with or disagree with X, Y, or Z action, statement, activity.
And I make
It does not have
Hold on, Bob.
a accompanying deprivation of the censured members' voting rights, role. It doesn't remove them from the board. It doesn't restrict their, and I believe it's even spelled out in the policy manual that's
the effect of censure does not remove from office or limit statutory duties, but may affect committee assignments or board leadership positions at the board's discretion. And so typically the way this was originally written was that the punishment for the censure would also be the possibility of being removed from committees, and that would also affect monetary compensation. To say that that doesn't happen goes against what is black letter written here.
So a quick question, Gage. Is a censure a prerequisite for being taken off of a public committee?
No.
Or can a board do that without a censure?
a board can do that without a censure, subject to whatever policies the board has adopted for that, depending on who the board has decided to vest that authority in.
So then what you're saying is that what everybody's saying here is we can omit the last two lines in the second bullet under 5.
Right?
I mean, that's,
Because it doesn't go hand in hand. It's a separate item, a separate vote.
that's
separate
fine,
motion. Yeah.
but it's very clear that the intent, particularly of the one in February, was that if you have a censure vote against you, you're being removed from committees or board leadership.
I think it's two separate.
Okay, but
Yeah.
it gives you a lot of justification for that.
No, it's
And to say that they're not tied in any way just doesn't reflect the reality of the situation.
so if we took that part out, you don't see any issue with that, Gage? Because the two are separate items and they're not tied together necessarily. The board does, a member, it's not required that a member be censured in order to take them off of a committee.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah, okay. All right,
How about if we change, we remove those two lines and we change censure will not remove a director from office or limit statutory duties or other assignments.
well, let's wait. I think,
Yes,
for the
Leave-
compromise
leave it
or
unsaid.
rewording.
yes, yes.
Okay, so, all right, so Mark, you just voiced the issue with the 5 or 6 prove-ins on
Right.
the grounds for censure item. And otherwise, you're saying that the rest of the language you can live with, you're okay with
For that
for that.
censure.
Okay,
Yeah.
but remove the proven.
Right.
Okay, and then I know you had several other.
I do. I
items.
have
Okay.
a few others.
Yeah.
Pages 23 and 24 in mine, where item 3 begins due process, or as currently written, investigation and due process.
Uh-huh.
Are we?
Yeah,
Are we
we're there.
I'm there.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
there. Page 158.
I don't like any of the revisions in both of these two sections, 3 and 4. I want to revert back to the language that was presented to us in the February 19th document. Again, I feel that the language here is leading down the path of investigation, having a third party, a neutral third party, having legal review. And that's not what censure in my mind is.
Yeah.
It's an agreement.
Okay, so
It's at the board level.
Gage would like to get clarification on this. So what Mark is suggesting is that we return to the original February 19th wording. And I just want to make sure that that February 19th wording is actually in its entirety shown here. Either it's been crossed out as a deletion, or it is in the darker print. And what has been added is the red. I just want to make sure that when we say the February 19th document, that revision, that is what we're talking about. Can you?
Is that a question for me?
Oh, yes. Yes, it is.
My understanding is what is in red is what has been changed in review by the subcommittee or the ad hoc committee. And that what is in black or what was crossed out is what was existing before.
If it was red and crossed out,
It might not be the way, because there were so many changes in
Yeah, I
there,
know.
it might not be that way.
Not all track changes were
Right.
tracked.
Yeah.
Some of the
Yeah.
changes were in black.
Because of the fact that this one got really wonky.
Yeah.
I will say that now it's starting to feel like this is what's getting rammed down throats. Because what you're talking about here,
let's just
Point of
Bob, let's
order,
just-
Mark is
please.
talking.
Yeah, let's just take this one step at a time. All right, Bob, I understand the frustration, but we've got to hear from everybody. and get through the-
and that's part of my discussion in terms of where this is going. But I'm happy to have this discussion because I've got some supporting documentation that I think we need to address as part of this.
Okay, we haven't even heard from the other 2-3 directors here, so
Understand.
let's.
And Bob, I've shared a little bit of that with you during our discussions.
Yes. Okay,
Uh,
all right, so yeah, so sections 3 and 4 there.
Right.
Go back.
Right.
All right.
My page 29.
Yeah, I think it's going to be around 166. Let's see.
Where it talks about not holding a board meeting the first Thursday in December in even numbered years.
That's page 164.
What's that?
I'm assuming that has to do with elections and changing of,
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Christmas time.
you serve as a director until
Okay.
the election certified, which is the
That's-
first Friday in December.
Okay.
Therefore,
That's-
if you left them as a board member, they'd be
Right.
voting literally the day before they leave office. That
Okay.
doesn't seem right.
Okay, understand the rationale for that then. Okay. Again, on page 29, it references closed sessions for the board meeting shall start no earlier than 5:30. But I know we've started some recently when we've had an extended agenda at 5 o'clock.
What? I thought it said somewhere else as early as 5.
Somewhere else it does, but here I saw.
Oh,
Yeah, here it does say 5:30, so
here
maybe
it
that
says
is
5:30.
something
So
for
just
consistency.
clean that, just
Maybe
that
clean
up.
that up and
Yeah.
put 5 PM. It'd be nice to have a little extra time if we need it.
Yes.
Okay.
yeah.
understanding that if it is uniform throughout at 5:30, you want it to be changed to 5.
Yeah.
Yes,
To-
It does
to have
say
the
5 somewhere
flexibility
else.
to start as early as that.
right,
Yeah.
no earlier than 5, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
And
33, 34.
334 on my next.
That's page 168. Section F.
Yes. Orderly discussion. I want to, again, I don't like the modifications that have been made to this. I want to revert back to the February version that was presented to us.
And just to be clear, there have been one clause added and actually two clauses added, right?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're not talking about paragraphs that I don't see. Okay.
Right.
All right. Good, thank you.
Um,
2 clauses added and 1 section deleted, it looks like.
Yeah,
my last is on page 42, committee appointments paragraph.
Which section is that?
I'm jumping to it right now. Committees.
15,
Yes,
177,
right.
or 20.
The timing that's laid out here doesn't seem to work. Applications will be reviewed at the first board meeting in January, but the deadline to submit applications says it's December 30th. Truth that up to whatever is real that we're doing.
yeah, it seems like December 15th or something might
Whatever
be a
we've
little more
done,
practical.
whatever we've done
Yeah.
in the last several years.
Yeah.
works. Okay.
So,
Okay. Those are the comments that I have.
thank you very much. Okay, let's keep moving. Lena, please.
Yeah, I just kind of want to note in general that this is under new business, and yet we have an ad hoc committee that was formed, and I firmly believe that ad hoc committee formation should be appointed and approved by the full board. I also feel that it's very discourteous to redo all the work that the admin committee has done. And I found that this was incredibly difficult to review by looking at the board packet and trying to comment on comments and write them in a sheet where it would have been better to have the full document where we could have commented on this, because we can go through my comments. I don't think I have them very well tied to page numbers because the packet was shifting. So we can go through this, but I think this whole process has been a pretty rough one. So, and again, I am upset that a lot of the track changes aren't there. So it required reading the entire thing all over again. And I don't know if I missed things or didn't miss things. And I would suggest that this completely goes back and all the track changes are accounted for, rather than approving this tonight. So my first one, there's a line, it says directors will not solicit political funds, and in there it was added either wholly or partially.
Excuse me, what section was that?
I don't know. But it was edited in there that to add partially. So does that mean if we are providing water to event, say the Redwood Mountain Fair, that a director is ineligible to also have a booth at said Redwood Mountain Fair because we are partially providing something to that event? So I would like that stricken, because I just feel like that's getting into the weeds on things, and directors don't have the control about whether or not well, I guess we do. We have the Redwood Mountain Fair coming up here on the next agenda, but yeah, I don't know. I just think it's tricky, and I would like to revert back to the original language. And then this one was not in the track changes. It was in black. It says heated or robust debate on policy matters, including expressing strong disagreement or criticism regarding policies or proposals or actions, does not constitute a personal attack. I feel that heated implies a level of argumentativeness that I feel is unprofessional. I also feel it's unnecessary to make this clarification of strong disagreement, because personal attacks are not ambiguous. If someone, they're feeling they're attacked, I'm sure we have trainings to see what that looks like. So
I think removal of all descriptive words and just have the word debate there. But yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. I think that was page 6. I have a note there. So the next one, oh, it was J. Is it page 7? It starts with the director should practice the following procedures. There's an edit at the end of it. This is number 1, individual directors. I would just like the end of that to revert back to the original language.
Do you have a?
It was J. I think it was page 7. It was in all
Page
80.
155. Page 6 of the.
Or was it 6?
J, okay, yeah. Director should practice the following procedures, that section.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
It was-
and which number?
It was J. That is not what I have down. Yeah, one. It's the violence is and when it's talking about encouraging the minority and dissenting opinions, I just don't think that we need all that extra language in there.
Okay.
Then-
I'm not seeing where that is.
Here, no. Let's see. This is why I wish we would have just gotten the full document so we can go. Yeah, it's J1. It's 155 of the packet.
Okay, J1, the first paragraph there, first
See,
subsection.
I don't think that was in the original. It's black. Is that? I don't know. See, these things have tracked, and so they got slashed out. The directors will commit themselves to focusing on the establishment amendment. We can move on. I don't know. I thought that was a track change. We can move on to the next one. It says directors shall remain from restating arguments already made, and I think the added language was unless the context of the discussion requires additional clarification or addition. I don't think we need that language.
Is that also J1?
J3.
Oh, J3.
And then I had a question. It says nothing in this policy shall be constructed to, this is page 7, constructed to limit a director from seeking information from third parties. What? Why is this in there? I don't understand why we need that language. So,
Do you want a response to
But is
that,
it
or
objectionable?
rhetorical?
I can tell
Sure.
you why.
Well,
go ahead, Bo.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because in the past, other general managers have attempted to limit, in my case specifically, seeking information relevant to the district from third parties. So,
And what would be examples of third parties?
experts in finance, for example, around loan documents and loan terms and conditions. County staff regarding water in the San Lorenzo River watershed.
Right.
I mean, there was a number of things,
There are a number of things.
and he attempted to shut me down.
And I've contacted outside experts, third party, of contacts that I've had in my previous work to give me an opinion on, hey, here's what's facing us here, that I can then bring that to not an individual, but I have further input then into which way I think we should be going. So
Okay. Are you okay with that, Lena?
don't have an issue.
I don't really know if it needs to be in here. I think there's a lot of added stuff that doesn't really need to be in here. It just makes it very wordy and lengthy. I mean, I just,
Okay.
yeah, I'm still.
Well, let's keep moving on then. What's
I'm just trying to find you a page number for the next. So it's page number 7 on 6 and handling complaints and inquiries. I would just like to revert back to the original language on that. The individual directors are encouraged to engage with the community on the role of representative and clarify the nature of their complaint or inquiry. I feel like a lot of if people are coming to us and they're having complaints, I feel like, we can escalate them, but I don't think we should be encouraging directors to go out there and act as staff. And so that's what I worry that line is kind of getting towards. So,
but I think the reason it was added is simply that we don't want, if someone comes to any of us as a director and says, hey, I've got this issue, should we immediately cut that off and say, you need to go talk to the general manager, or can you listen to them and at least engage them? And that's how I interpreted that. But you think it's
It
giving
wasn't-
too much authority to that, or?
I think it's leading directors into feeling that they should be taking on the role of the general manager when, we can listen to their concerns and we can pass that information on. But I don't feel that that's our role as directors to be handling those complaints. They should be passed on to the appropriate staff.
And I would agree with you on that. But again, previous general managers have wanted to make it so that as soon as someone issued a complaint, you were to shut them down and refer it. And to me, that is simply not what our role is as representative of the people. And what a lot of this gets into is reaction to what has been implemented in the past, particularly against me. I don't know if it's been anybody else. And it's just not right.
Yeah, and ultimately, this document, because it's gone through all of these machinations for you personally, Bob, that's why all of this extra language has been added. And
Absolutely.
at the end of the day, there's always an element of trust that we all have to have, and you've lost that trust because of what's
Absolutely.
happened.
Right. But
yeah.
I will opine on this also. Alina, I'm in contact with one of the folks that lives on Lost Acre Drive. It leads up to the Felton Heights tank. He's part of their neighborhood association. And he's giving me a feel for here's what the neighborhood is thinking. And I talk to him periodically, but I pass that on to Jason. I'm not attempting to do anything, but
You're not usurping, Jake.
I'm not a serpent. No.
Encouraged to engage. Like people can come to you and you can listen, but like encouraging directors to go out and try and solve the problems. I don't like that language.
Let me give you a specific example of why I think this is important. I was at I think one of our interim general managers did a show down at the Highland Center, the senior center. And there was a lady that came and talked, as I was sitting there, came up and talked to me and said, after every water flushing, my meter shows 60 units of usage. And then the next month it goes down to 3, and before it's 3. And I'm like, geez, that's interesting. And this has happened every year. Yes. And have you gone to staff? And they said, well, it's just a leak. You have a leak. But there's this pattern. And so I said, look, you got to go talk to the general manager about that, because that is a strange pattern. I agree with you. And maybe the staff can get to the bottom of that if you really engage with the general manager. To me, that is a perfectly rational and reasonable thing to do, particularly in circumstances where someone has a complaint like that, as opposed to saying, hey, I can't talk to you. You have to talk to the general manager.
Yeah.
Really?
So I think
Okay.
like a lot of when we talked about in the admin about writing this policy is that we weren't writing this policy for one particular individual or individuals, and this needs to be a generalized policy. And I hear a lot of personal feelings about things in this policy, and that's not what this is intended. Like I'm writing, like, I want to change this so it protects me or does this, but this is supposed to be a general policy for everyone. So I just wanted to say that.
It is a general
so
policy.
I'd like to hold on.
I
Bob,
think
please.
Protects everybody.
I think that the censure process really should just be written by legal. I fully agree with the proven. It needs to be removed from that. I think that the censor policy is a thing that's pretty straightforward, that's used by other boards, and that our legal is completely capable of writing themselves. So on comment BF 19, I feel like that comment was fairly inappropriate to be published in the board packet. I'm surprised. It's more, we should be focused on edits instead of grandstanding with the provens there. Because I'm just really not comfortable with the language and the comments on the side of concerns that were being dismissed as hurt feelings. Because that framing really avoids accountability and doesn't reflect the seriousness of the issues that were being raised. We are in positions of public trust in how we treat people and conduct ourselves really matters. And I didn't like that being printed in the board packet. I didn't like how staff has been treated even at the last meeting and how they were spoken to. So it's not just hurt feelings. And I said, should the central process stop at any time before the full investigation is began? The charge objector shall not be entitled to cost, and then it says that it's cost. Do we, including attorney fees? So I think we talked again. Gage kind of talked on how this wouldn't be a full investigation, so maybe that doesn't matter. But I don't think the district should be paying for any legal fees, so I wouldn't want any of that language in there. Page 12, there's different fonts, and I found it later in the document. The fonts were just different. Just page 13, it says lowest level. I'd keep that as the original. I think it was talking about the chain of which complaints move up, and it changed from lowest level to most appropriate. But I think the point of that comment was to move things through the chain.
Where are we?
Page 13, it says,
What section or subsection? Is it
Find
still
it.
part of the censure?
Quasi judicial function,
I'm sorry?
quasi judicial functions.
Was,
yeah, number 3, the first paragraph under it is changing from lowest to most appropriate. But I feel like that whole section is just outlining the levels. You start at the lowest and then you move up. So I don't agree with that language. What is it? Oh, then it says it's talking about the legal, that we have the 30 minutes of legal that we can talk to per month. And then the line was added, this limitation does not apply in the event of a potential conflict of interest. What does that mean? We pay unlimited hours then if there's a conflict of interest? I don't like that. I would like to remove that language. And then there was, I mean, maybe it's again just getting wordy. I guess we can leave it. I'm not super picky on this one, but it says for the avoidance of doubt, a 2-1 vote is not sufficient to approve an ordinance. I feel like the paragraph before that explained that pretty well, but I'm not particularly stubborn on that one. All right, and then so it looks like we were changing from Roberts to Rogensberg's rules of order. I just was surprised that we've always been told that it's Roberts.
No, nobody's changing. It was just it was suggested as a simpler rule form. But if the board wants to do Robert's rules of orders, that's perfectly fine.
yeah.
I can guarantee you do not want to do Robert's Rules of Order
Simpler is,
because we don't do it today.
yeah, simpler is
Gage,
fine.
do you have any thoughts on Roberts versus Robinson's rules of order? Rosenberg? All right, thank you.
It's ultimately they're here as general guides, and really I don't know the specifics of the differences between those two, but generally they're general guides for meeting procedure. It's rare for them to be, I'm going to say, harshly applied. And they're really fallback tools when we get in a situation where we need to use them to get through a difficult matter. But as far as the specifics between Roberts or Rosenberg's, they're both commonly used, frankly.
Yeah, I guess I had the impression that Rosenberg's is a little bit simpler, a little
Much.
bit less convoluted.
Much.
But you know, I don't know. So okay, so you're not familiar enough to
Okay.
to open a
Robert's Rules is this thick.
Yeah.
Rosenberg's was 7 pages, I believe. If you say you're going to do something according to Robert's Rules, we should be doing it according to Robert's Rules. We've never done it. And so we're violating our board policy manual right from the start.
okay, fair. Jason, did you have any experience with one or the other at Ridgecrest?
They didn't follow either.
Okay,
Fair enough.
all right.
That
all
is
right.
the standard.
all right. So board packet 168 or 19 of the board policy manual on F under orderly discussion, I would just like to revert back to the original language.
Okay, yep.
I just have to keep finding these or. Maybe this, okay, so it's at the very top of 169. I again would just like to revert back to the original language on that. It's under, I guess it's a continuation of orderly discussion,
is,
so
right.
it is, so I guess it was just
Right,
commented
yeah,
on it
you would-
again. It was just all that. Um, oh, I had this question, let's see if I, when it was talking about they added in or written comments. Oh, okay, so it's board packet 171 or 22. And it says public communications, and it was added oral or written for closed session agenda. Do we, is that saying that we're gonna have to read all the written?
It says someone can submit their comment in writing.
Don't we already have, yeah, okay. I think we already have a process, but okay, public oral written for closed session. Okay. I was just confused on that. I didn't know if like that was the time we're going to be reading the written comments because we already have the online form where people can comment and send it and include it in the board packet. So it was just confusing to me.
But it's just saying that someone could come and hand out 5 sheets of paper to us
Oh,
and say, thank you very much.
okay.
Just to get it in.
Let's say it was something that would be longer than 3 minutes. Right?
Okay.
For example, it's a complicated issue, whatever, they want to get background information, they can come with a written statement. We accept it. Thank you very much. They could stand up there and summarize for 3 minutes
Yeah,
if they
we
wish.
had that multiple times down, just where people would go up to the lectern and say what they wanted to say and then hand out their
Okay.
paper to the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand that better now.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm okay, so 172 of the board packet, K, additions and deletions to the agenda. I'm trying to think of what I was on the any objection by a director to the deletion of an agenda item requires a majority vote of the board to delete the agenda item. Oh, so
Correct.
Yeah, right.
their deletions request the member of the board.
Yeah. I don't
Okay.
agree, Jason, that you should have pulled that first item tonight.
So that's
Would have
order.
been. We vote on
Then we
it.
vote on it.
Okay.
Simply that, I think.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Or
I guess I think it was
if a
just the
director
language.
wishes to pull an item,
Okay.
so.
Oh, I have it listed as number 7. I can find one, the majority board vote of the board of directors. We can act as an official spokesperson for the board of directors with the respect to approve topic. I thought that the board was never supposed to speak for the water district. I guess I'm just confused with adding in that language.
Yeah, I guess I had interpreted that as just clarifying. We're generally, I think that's right, but there may be times like after a disaster where a board member that's been appointed by the board to be a spokesperson might be there. The general manager may not be available. I mean,
Or
I can
for
see
example, there's some topic that the board wishes some representative to be, like a consolidation, for example, or what have you. The board does not lose its statutory and legal responsibilities.
Mm, mm. Yeah, but I thought we've been told, I mean, maybe legal can chime in here. I thought individual directors are not supposed to be speaking for the entirety of the board. Is if we vote by majority, is that something that's allowed?
Yeah.
I'm asking legal Gage.
Right. The board speaks on behalf, the board can speak on behalf of the district. And if the board approves something or votes on something, then that's acceptable. But you're right, an individual director cannot speak on behalf of the district.
The question,
Of
Gage,
course.
is if the board voted for somebody to go represent them in front of Congress and speak for the district, is that allowed?
Oh, certainly. Yeah, certainly. I mean, and it's common that there are situations where there has to be a representative that it is a single person, and the board will have to appoint somebody. Can you direct me where is this comment that you're referring to?
Page 27 of the document, or I don't know where it is in
Oh.
the packet.
It's like 11. It's under president.
It's under president.
Oh, I see. Right.
I mean,
Yeah,
basically,
it's not, and to clarify too, it's not to act with any authority on behalf of, this isn't saying act with authority on behalf of the district. It's not permitting the president to make decisions independently or take any official action. It's appointing them as a spokesperson.
Yeah, every time I've seen it, they've gone up and read prepared statement.
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
which is usually
Okay.
against-
Yeah.
I mean,
Alright.
the president's
Sounds
not
good.
prime minister. It's not like a prime
Alright.
minister.
Yeah. All right. So on 178 or 29, it starts off members of all committees serve at the pleasure of the board. At the edit at the very bottom, it says in absence of both chairperson and vice chairperson, but the quorum of the committee, present staff and members may either the general manager or department head shall act as a presiding officer without any voting privileges. Otherwise, the meeting will be canceled. Should we just cancel the meeting if we don't have any directors available? I think a lot of the point of committees is that you have your two directors there to kind of help go over the topics first. But
If you have a quorum, you can have a meeting.
Right.
okay,
If you have a quorum, you can have a meeting. And I'll draw a case in point right now with the engineering committee. We have two members that are very well skilled in electrical power systems. If I'm not there and Director Russ isn't there, I hope that they have the discussion with staff
Hold a sec.
to advance that.
How many members on the committee, though? Five. Okay, then they
Three
could have
members
three.
of the
There's three there.
There's quorum
Okay.
there. So
all right. Page 29 of the packet or 178. I don't know. It says starts with the all meetings be conducted in an efficient manner. At the end, it says I just didn't know if this is true or not. It says committee meetings must start no earlier than 8 a.m. and no later than 4 p.m. on weekdays. I thought like our finance is already outside of that.
No.
Starts at 4.
Oh, so that is that our hard set rule already about?
Start rule, and I
Okay.
don't want it any later.
Okay, I was just
Just
Sherry has her limits.
for historical purposes, committees used to be held in the evening or really early, and that got changed around 2017, 2018.
it's committing staff to other work staff outside of.
Mhm.
The general manager was busy.
Yeah.
Okay, so page 29, the third from the bottom. I was just confusing the way it was written. It says, if attending shall attend via web conferencing only with video and audio off. Can't you also in person attend as long as you don't interact?
Yep. So
You can, but discouraged because of potential body language, other nonverbal things.
if I'm allowed to be here in the room, you're allowed to be on video also.
Well,
Participate is the word.
Well,
I'm not participating, I'm sitting there.
And you're jumping up and down.
well, yeah, I guess like saying that they only in there on video and audio means that you couldn't attend in person. What if we have issues with our Zoom or whatever? I just don't think it should be only. You could say suggested or something to turn your audio and video off, but I think that directors should be allowed in person. This never happens, but yeah, I just
I think this section is mainly written to protect the director, so.
pretty much. so that you don't inadvertently violate the Brown Act. If someone, for example, saw you roll your eyes on video about something, that is a potential Brown Act violation. It is absolutely to protect the director.
But we're not only allowed to attend online.
No,
Right.
We can establish whatever rules we wish.
So, let me make this, if we're here in the room, we have to put a bag on our head. That to me sounds like
I can tell you that in the past, in
Yeah.
2016, 2017, there was a huge issue around this.
Yeah.
Directors were attending committee meetings.
Right.
And while they weren't saying anything, the body language and facial and all the rest of it made it very clear that there were violations going on, and it became a big issue.
by letter of the law, you can attend and be completely stoic.
Right. Yeah. Agreed.
I mean, we can write something that in best practice is, but I mean, we're not allowed. So that's my only point. All right, 186 page 34. It looks like B was stricken. I feel like
Where
we
are we?
should
I'm
bring
sorry.
that back. 183 or page 34. It's under B. It's personnel policies, and now it's the policies 18. A lot of that got stricken, and I think maybe we should bring back a lot of that language.
I think the reason for this is that it was pulled into another section at the beginning.
It was pulled into Exhibit A.
Yeah, Exhibit A, where there's now a long list. Instead of just these two, there's literally a list of 7 or 8 things that all are actually relevant for directors and their behavior. So that's the
Okay.
reason these weren't stricken to get rid of them completely,
Right.
just to clean the document.
Makes sense.
Okay,
Okay.
that's it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right. Well, let's see. I know we're going to do some more rounds here with directors, but let me give the public an opportunity to say a few words, and then we'll come back.
Wait,
Hold on, Bruce.
we haven't heard from all directors tonight.
Haven't heard from you.
Me?
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you, do you choose not to comment at this point?
Yeah, I'm because I had worked with this document and have
Right.
spent a lot of time on it.
Yeah.
I really wanted to listen to other comments. And I certainly understand that not all of the compromises that Bob and I came to, that they may not be acceptable.
Mhm.
And so, but I wanted to try to pose to the other directors at least language that, if we can limit ourselves to a few items that we really are thorny items that we really need to sit
Yeah.
down and work out. That's what my hope was.
Okay.
And it sounds like a lot of these items, I think people are a little more comfortable with, which is encouraging. So yeah, I'm going to give a pass to myself at this
Okay.
point.
All
And
right.
I might jump in on the next round. Okay. Bruce, please.
Thank you. I've got a bunch of notes here. I don't think I can do it in 3 minutes. I got 4 issues that are legal issues, so I want to start with those. I would like to eradicate the word consensus from this manual. The real term is unanimous consent. So you can approve the minutes by unanimous consent, fine with that. But there's no such thing as consensus. The water code specifically says, it expressly says the board acts by ordinance, resolution, or motion, only those things. So in 9D, the very beginning, board action, it says, oh, you can take action by consensus. It's not a formal action. No, that's totally false. It's contradictory to the water code. I'm sorry, this is in the black text. It's not even something that you considered yet. I wrote an email to the general manager about 6 months ago on this topic. So I brought it. I kind of feel like this is the same as I said 6 months ago.
Okay. Yep.
I only brought one copy, sorry.
No,
And there's some links in there which you could click, which you had an email, and I'm sorry about that too. Okay, there's a place where it talks about California law and the Brown Act and the Open Meetings Law or something like that. To me, it's very vague and general. when somebody starts saying, California law, my eyes glaze over. I have no idea what that means. It's going to drive you to the district council every time. But I don't think the Brown Act is that hard to know. So I think it should just say Brown Act. And you can't even read this agenda without encountering the Brown Act. So people are going to find out pretty quickly what the Brown Act is. You don't need to describe it all in there. So I think that should be more specific rather than more general. Now, there's another place pretty close after that that's talking about section 30507. That is the section that says board members don't get paid more than $100 per meeting and no more than 6 meetings a month. That's what that says. Okay, but more than 10 years ago, I noticed that Scotts Valley Water District directors were getting paid over $200 a meeting. And I looked into that, and eventually I figured out that there's section 20202. And that applies to county water districts, just like Scotts Valley and this district. And it says you can increase that amount 5% per year. So that's how they got up to $200 by 5% per year. So if the manual is going to be so specific as to say 30507, I think you should tell the whole story and say 20202. There's another place, I've got more, but this is the last legal one. There's a place that uses the words motion not approved. And it's saying motion's not approved if there's 2 ayes and 1 abstention. But there's a case called Rex versus Foxworthy. It's an old English civil, what is that called? Common law, maybe. But there's an attorney general opinion that refers to Rex versus Foxworthy. I learned this from the county council by going to a meeting there one time. Abstentions go with the majority. That's what the attorney general said, as I recall. Abstentions go with the majority. So you can pass a resolution with two ayes and 1 abstention, but you can't pass a resolution with 2 ayes and 1 nay. I've got more. I want to say Sturgis rules. We used to use Sturgis rules here. Alice Sturgis was a noted Northern Californian parliamentarian. And I thought it was fine to use Sturgis rules. They are also simpler than Robert's rules. So if you're going, the reason that the district went to Robert's rules was because there was a general manager named Brian Lee, and he insisted that's what everybody knows, it's Robert's rules. So let's do that. But for my part, I would say go back to Sturgis rules like it was before.
Thank you, Bruce. Good. Anybody else online?
Nobody with their hand up.
Nobody. Okay. Okay. So I want to poll directors on, given what we've heard from each other, what would you propose the next steps be for how we proceed? Is there a way to come to a finalization tonight or not? And Alina, I'd like to start with you on how would you like to proceed for both additional discussion and then possible closure, if any.
Yeah, I don't think I can't vote on this tonight. There's not a final form. There's so many edits and so much stuff up in the air. I wouldn't really know what I'm actually voting on. I think that the correct procedure of this from the beginning was to collect all of the comments from every director and send it back to the admin, and the admin should have reviewed it. I think for simplicity on moving forward that we should take what Jen had originally suggested with her edits and approve that.
Okay. And so is that your position, given where we are right now with what we have here, is that just throw this out and go back to the original?
If there's edits in there that are simple edits, sure. There's so much extra added language that I don't think that we need, and a lot of language that I don't agree with. And I would really like to hear more from legal on a whole of this document and the edits and how they feel about it. I know you said how they feel, but we didn't hear how they feel. And I don't know if those two are actually the same. If they feel like this is a good document, or maybe we should go back to the original that staff had come up with.
Gage, you want to comment?
Yes, I
document.
So I want to hedge my comments by saying I'm not, you are ultimately the deciders of board policy. Period, end of story. So with that said, our comments and our review of this is the edits added a lot of information in some ways that created specific to the censure, for example, it's created a new sort of process and new level of requirement that is not necessarily required by a censure on its own. Some other comments are, for example, in the section that describes quorum and attendance at meetings, it incorporated a lot of Brown Act provisions as they currently are today and put them in this document. I don't know that that's necessary for the purpose of what this document is. For example, if you don't have in here a specific Brown Act provision that maybe allows remote attendance under certain circumstances, it doesn't mean you can't do that because the Brown Act still applies whether or not you as the board decide to put them in this specific policy manual. So I don't know that it was necessary to add some of those things in. I do understand wanting to help prospective directors and give them sort of a guideline on reviewing the position and the requirements. But it's not required to set forth all Brown Act requirements in this policy manual. They apply regardless. The inclusion of certain language that requires things be proven adds an additional layer of ambiguity if those things are not explained. And I think overall, perhaps what could remedy some of this is if the board were to give maybe some specific direction on certain items. But overall, this is a very, it's a long document that has a lot of changes. And from what it sounds like, some of the comments were today, it sounds like maybe there are some changes that were made in here that are not reflected in red line. And you definitely want to be sure that before you act on it, everybody's had an opportunity to really review any of those changes that may have been made that are not clearly flagged.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think that's a big issue that I have too, is that I don't even know if I caught all the changes.
Okay.
Let me ask, Leah, I don't know who the word expert might be with the district, but I know that you can compare two documents and have identified between the two documents every single change. Is that something that maybe you or someone at the district, Jason, could take a crack at? Because that's very important to know. Is this document, is it really reflective of what we started with February 19th? Or have there been inadvertent acceptances? Yes.
Even if they do that, that would be a great starting point. I will still have to go through it line by line because so
Well, I'm hoping that the result is that there are very few changes.
there might be, particularly in the center. I know that
The censure's the
one
big
became
clearly
really
is the big, that's the hot button.
right. And there might be a handful of others that were inadvertent. But by the way, any of this would be inadvertent, not a deliberate attempt.
No, I absolutely
I-
characterize it that way.
But I would still need to do that. And as you're polling people, I'll tell you why when it's my turn.
Okay, all right. Okay, Alina,
Yeah.
you're done. Okay. Mark, what's your
I think we are close on this version of the document, except for, I think what's obvious to us, the language around censure and how we do that, and the investigation and due process or just due process. In the past, on some documents like this, the board has voted on almost a paragraph by paragraph of items that were that were potentially in disagreement. I think we're down on this version of the document now to maybe 5. Maybe that.
5 items that are
That are significant to enough to say no for one of us or 2 of us to say no, I'm not supporting this. But if it boiled down to those several items and you said, okay, board members, this language or this language, which one of these 2? Pick. Same thing for this next issue, this language or this language. And I think that we have language that we were close on the February 19th version. We have language here. I think most of what's here around the procedural aspects and adding other legal aspects and other references that we've caught things. Well, I can accept this. I understand the rationale for not having a board meeting every even year, first week of December. Okay, fine. But then on these few that are going to be that nobody is going to agree fully yes or no on, put those out to the 5 of us. Let us vote on it, independently of being in this room.
Oh, like in
That's what
blind vote?
that's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
So how would that work?
Staff submits. We have language here. We have language here. We have 2 different versions of this censure aspect that have been submitted up to this point. Which one of these? Or we boil it down to those 4 or 5 now, and we come back here and do the same thing here again out in public. So one or the other, but getting to a point of the few items that I think we can see are that we're going to disagree on.
I must say, I like the idea that you're suggesting that we're mostly there and there's maybe 4 or 5 items that are really still contentious and that we need to maybe have alternative wordings and go from there. Yeah.
I don't know about alternative wordings. I'm not proposing create something new beyond what's here. I think we have 2 versions. The one that's been submitted to us here, the one that I saw February 19th. I think those are 2.
Well, but for instance, you brought up citing the 5 or 6 provens, that if the proven was taken out, you would probably be acceptable with the rest of the statements. So that's
okay.
right?
That's
what I'm trying to get at.
I think you are correct in that. Okay, so yes, it is down to the language on that particular aspect. Yeah, but somehow circulating that limited with the board policy manual like this. Here are the 2 pages of different things that we're disagreeing on. But then how do 5 people get to a resolution of a document? I don't like this word. No, it's got to be these 3 words instead. That's
right.
Yes, we will spend from now through at least December if that's so that's my thought.
Thank you. All right. Bob, what do you propose given what you've heard?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, obviously the real hot button around the censure thing, because it's been threatened against me in the past and I get that it's political, but the assumption of all board members is whatever accusations are made against me are true by definition. And that goes to assume that the person making those accusations is in fact acting in good faith. And that may or may not be the case, because we're all human and we all have our interests. And we can't, in fairness to the process, discount the fact that people may have interests that go beyond the search for truth in leveling accusations. And without any kind of real investigation done by a neutral third party, you're not able to get beyond that.
So,
But it is the case that
And
any
that-
accusation that's leveled to have any teeth, it needs to be voted on by a majority.
But the problem with that is that the majority doesn't actually want to hear the other side of the story.
So-
That's been the case in the past.
but how do
And
we?
that's the issue that the board refuses to address. And when you look at the original February censure, it's basically a kangaroo court.
So,
You have limited time to respond, boom, boom, it's done. And there's absolutely no investigation into whether or not the person making those charges are making true charges and that there's backup for it.
so
Because-
how do we get
Hang on a
from
second.
here?
Hang on a second.
So-
And so for me, that needs a more fulsome discussion.
Right, that's why you want the more detailed due diligence process.
Well, but
So-
in terms of moving forward, that's why I think we need to have a more fulsome discussion about it. Because there seems to be this assumption that I'm hearing that, oh, the process was good enough. We can trust whatever anybody says about a board member. And that's it, we're done. And we're just going to punish you for that. You know, that really doesn't, that if you want to do that, certainly a majority of the board can vote in that. But then that just becomes a nakedly political act that you're actually just trying to destroy somebody rather than trying to address real issues. And to me, those are very fundamental things. I want to search for truth. I'm not here to destroy people. But that isn't the case. And I can also say, from the point of view of having an attorney, our legal counsel do the investigation. I have experience, and the reason I put that comment in there is with an attorney that did things in a way, our general counsel that did things in a way that were, And I'd be happy to have a more fulsome discussion on that under certain conditions. Because it was very clear during that process, the general counsel and the general manager came up with something to try to get around the law and the policy. And that's not right either. So to basically just go to a binary, it's this or this, without that discussion, I
So
don't
let me
think
ask
that's
you,
particularly fair.
On the section regarding the process for censure, if we eliminated the provens, which Mark might be open to, so it's not as strong a language, because proven, of course, is certainly a stronger language than just making something.
Yeah,
Would
but
that be acceptable?
it's within the context of the whole thing.
No, I understand.
So if
And so-
Mark wants to remove the proven and anything around investigations,
Yes,
any real investigation,
yes.
well,
Right.
then at that point, it's basically 4 against 1. And we're going to say, hey, and by the way, it's not just me, it's somebody in the future.
But I think you're prejudging how
Oh, no, I'm not.
the rest of the board votes.
No, I'm not. I know how the rest of the board's going to vote. That it's very clear how the rest of the
I
board.
did look at
Bob, have you
other
told
censures.
Director Foltz how you're going to vote on this?
No one has
I'm
told me
listening.
anything. I just know because of experience here.
Okay, well, and that's certainly, you're right.
And that is,
So-
and so that is the issue we've got. Because if all you're going to say is we're going to trust anybody can lob an accusation. It doesn't mean the accusation is true.
I did look at other censure policies. I don't know if you like this language or not, Director Pulse, but a lot of them use based on clear and convincing facts.
But who does the investigation?
Yeah.
And what kind of investigation is
Well,
that?
that's for the individual director, when
Okay,
they
well-
do the vote, they're looking at add clear and convincing facts. Was it on recording? Did it happen in meeting? Did I witness it? You know, do I feel that 3 staff members have come forward and they all have the same story? I mean, that's clear and convincing facts.
Yeah, I like that
Depends,
phrase.
depending upon who's judging it.
Yeah, but
Well,
you are the vote. That is you as the director.
Yes, but it also doesn't allow for a neutral third party that doesn't have a political interest to basically say whether or not these kinds of things raise up to a level that is anything serious. And that's what we've got here.
So how do we move
Yeah,
forward?
I guess the
How do we
trade-off,
move forward?
right? The trade-off here, Bob, is this, it's not an impeachment. You know, a censure is not an impeachment. So it sounds like you've had, certainly from the sounds of it, some terrible experiences in the past from how you perceive
Some
them.
things that have happened in closed session that I can't talk about, but were used in public in open session to convict me effectively.
So
This is not fair.
how do we move forward from where we are tonight?
Yeah, that's the question.
How do we move forward?
So what I would like to suggest is we've heard and we have on recording all of the issues that people have. I'd like to suggest that we send this back to the ad hoc committee for Bob and I to take those, figure out if there's a compromise. And on the topic of censure, understanding that there's at least 2 people, and I expect there'll be a third, that want to revert back, to bring that to the next meeting and have a discussion around just that and why I am so adamant that the process that was originally proposed, even though it might be something that everybody does, it might be something everybody does, assuming that there's a certain level of trust in the process. And I can tell you, based on my experience here after 8 years, there's absolutely zero trust that can be in that process because of the fact that my side of the story has never been told and has actually never even wanted to be listened to.
So again, how do we move forward from where we are
I
tonight?
just said.
Oh.
Send it
Yeah,
back to the
you're
ad hoc
proposing
committee
back to the ad hoc committee.
to review and see if there is language for each one of the items that people have addressed, and then bring the censure back.
So
Yeah, I would really like to avoid going back to the ad hoc committee, Bob. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we've spent a lot of time on this and, you know, the admin committee and you and I and legal and staff have spent a lot of time on this.
I like Mark's suggestion.
and if you as the board president are still trying to weigh through this at this point.
Yeah.
My other suggestion is you and Jason go back and think about this. And then figure out how to come back to us. But I don't think going to the ad hoc committee or that you and Bob going offline again is.
Yeah, we've had our time.
One other thing, I would like to get all of Mr. Holloway's suggestions because he knows this better than just about anybody.
Well,
Honestly, I thought his suggestions were great.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to have Gage.
Yeah, vet it out.
And say yes, no to those, and if that's.
Yeah, because I mean, for example, I did find that section 202 that he found, but I didn't see that it applied to us. So there we go.
So we're not getting raises?
Well, maybe.
Maybe.
But I
5%,
don't,
wow.
but I don't think we need to debate or discuss. I agree. Have Gage follow up on the suggestions that Mr. Holloway was making.
Well, I think there's two sections. We only heard the legal ones, which Gage can certainly weigh in on. But he also had other suggestions we didn't hear about.
That he sent to Jason in an email.
Well, I haven't seen them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe that's where we start with legal striking all of the changes that don't make sense.
Here's what I would
and then-
propose.
then-
No, the legal is not here to say what makes sense and what doesn't. That's
Right.
up to us.
That's not, yeah.
Well,
Yeah, here's what I would propose. I like the idea of Jason and I sitting down and taking this version and making modifications to it. I agree with Mark, and maybe I'm hoping, Alina, you're okay with some of the changes now that you've heard why they're there. And that if it really boils down to, say, 5 or 6 contentious items, that Jason and I would sit down, try to work out some wording, and that we would then come back to the board to vote on that. And maybe at that point, these say 5 or 6 items, we would have them flagged and say, this is still up for discussion, and hopefully we can, in that meeting then, be our final meeting, and we work out the final wording.
And I would just like to clarify my statement about legal, about them having their comments being included is like, we don't really need the Brown Act, so we can, that's already explained somewhere else. And he said some other things, and Gage also said some things that really made sense about the censure policy, and, just putting those at the top of our list of those changes and, listening to them as our guide.
I would like to say, though, that the reason for putting in all of the various permutations on how to hold meetings is because we actually run into that frequently, like a lot. And rather than having to go back and pay the attorney every time we want to figure out whether or not a permutation is allowed, we should be able to determine that up front and just have those rules baked into the policy so that we can make the determination whether it fits or not without having to pay a few $100s every time of that. There are things like that reoccur that I get where Gage is coming from, but that's not necessarily in our best interest.
So what I would suggest is that other directors, if you have additional comments or nuances that you would like to bring up regarding either things that you missed in this discussion, or furthering a discussion on some of these points like the censure, that you send those comments to Jason and me. And then when Jason and I sit down, we'll take those comments and try to see where they lead us.
And for the board member that wasn't here this evening, will you or Jason do what you're suggesting there to solicit comments that
Yes.
that Brian has
Brian has.
on what was presented to us tonight, then, since we're not closing this out this evening?
Right.
Yeah,
and in fact, what we could do, or Jason, if you could encourage Brian to send them in writing to you,
yes,
by section, by page, whatever.
If you could also maybe just send him the document, maybe, and he can track his own changes.
No,
Not anymore. I would have liked it before.
This is partly what led us to this issue.
Right.
But I just think it might be easier for you to review Brian's comments if it's all just like tracked. You can just comment on the thing. No, you don't think so, Mark? Rather than making the comment, the page number, then you have to
I think that
scroll.
he should have the same opportunity that the 4 of us did this evening for what was presented to us here this evening.
I was just
rather than either a cleaned up or a different version or a different. Here's what was in the agenda.
Okay.
Mark summarized his issues.
I was just
page number,
I was
right?
trying to make it easier for staff instead of have to line everything up, but okay. Fine, Mark is that.
But if he uses the amended,
Brian.
if he uses the amended package, then he's all synced up.
By the way, I think Alina, though, for the future, does have a point about these kinds of documents in terms of how we do things. Doing them in PDF in this fashion is not efficient and makes no sense.
Very painful.
So I completely agree. We ought to do things a little
It's
differently.
like 5 hours. I'm serious. It's 5 hours of going through this line
Nitpicking and
by
going through every
line.
little bit.
When, there's really other important things on this agenda, and to have to spend this much time on the board policy manual, it's a lot. Anyways, okay.
So
we
resolved
I
it.
think that's how we're going to proceed. Are there any other comments from the public on our latest status here?
No hands up online.
And no hands up online.
You're really gonna give me another chance?
I would.
Yes, it's your right. And
No, it's not actually, but I
well,
will.
then I do it on general grounds.
Okay, well, thanks.
You're welcome.
I thought, I guess I've been to both of these censure. I can't remember if the first one
Proceedings.
succeeded.
No, it was dropped.
Okay, and then the second one did succeed, and so I went to both. So 2 years ago, one thing that happened was Rick Rogers said that he had gotten an email from Director Foltz during the time of the CZU fire. And there was something about that email that he complained about. For my part, I felt like if I could see the email, I could judge for myself. And I thought that was just not right, that somebody could just make a characterization like that. You sent me a nasty email. Maybe Jason thinks that's a nasty email that I sent him. You know, I don't know what people think or why, but if I could see it for myself, maybe I have a certain opinion.
You want to see the source, first
And
source.
then at the same time, so I remember Jamie and Bill Mahan each had things to say, which were kind of like this one, which I'm going to describe. Vice President Lang was not on the board 2 years ago, but she said that Bob screamed at her at a committee meeting. And there again, that kind of reminds me of something that my ex-wife might have said, which I would have denied. So if I could have seen the committee meeting, if somebody would take the time and say, well, it was 42 minutes into that committee meeting, you'll see what I mean. And if I could see that with my own eyes, I might agree with you. I might. And I might agree with Rick Rogers if I saw that email. But I didn't see the email, and I've never seen Bob scream. So I don't believe any of that. And so I thought the proceeding was kind of unfair, because I would want a little bit more solid evidence. So that word proven, you know, I agree, proven may be too strong, but still, I would like to see the evidence more than just somebody's oral characterization of somebody. I'd really rather see the evidence. And the same thing applied to the last one, which I guess was the last time I was here. Apparently, there was something that went on between Director Foltz and the environmental programs manager, and I don't know what it was. And I wasn't present. I never saw it. I have no idea what it was. I listened to the whole discussion, and I have no idea what really happened here. Now, I remember the general manager made a very passionate statement that all of those people, including the environmental programs manager, might be future general managers for this district, which I kind of understand, and I agree with, but I still want to know. I mean, I still wanted to know more about what that really was. I just don't get it. It just sounds like gossip to me. I need something. If it was at a committee meeting, sure, let's see the video. I might just say, whoa, I get it, you know?
Okay.
But
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you. All right, and no one else online?
No one with their hand up.
No
Had
one?
nothing to do with Chris.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
For-
So we are moving on. Jason, you and I can work out a schedule, and I encourage other directors, including Brian, to send any other comments or suggestions to Jason and me. All right. Redwood Mountain Fair. Who's tackling this
That'll be Jesse.
big issue?
Thank you.
All right.
Next up. All right. Staff recommends that the board approve the district's in-kind donation of water service to this year's Redwood Mountain Fair in Felton. This event brings the community together while supporting local nonprofit organizations. This in-kind donation promotes community goodwill, provides the district with an opportunity for positive public outreach. The district's participation in this event has consistently received positive feedback from both the community and event organizers. The Roaring Camp property where the event is being held does not have a potable water service connection. As a result, a district supplied water tank will be necessary. Staff estimates that approximately 35 hours of staff time will be required to facilitate this effort, totaling approximately $1,225 in district in-kind services. Additionally, 3 bacteriological samples will need to be processed through the district's ELAP certified laboratory, totaling approximately $450 in district resources. A 1,000-gallon poly tank and a district dump truck or trailer will also be needed. These estimates are consistent with the level of resources committed to the event in prior years. That'll hand it over.
Thank you. Alina, do you have any questions for Jesse?
I think this is a wonderful event for our valley, and it raises a lot of money for us. And I love the fact that our district is, a part of this community and, willing to donate this water. And I'm really excited that we're glad we did it last year, and I'm glad that it's back. And I definitely support this. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Bob?
I have consistently opposed this from the time I got on the board for one simple reason. Not that I'm opposed to donating time and water to nonprofit events, but it seems like the only one that we ever got a request for was the Redwood Mountain Fair. And the people that run that are very politically involved in the water district in a variety of ways. And I think that is that's just a little bit too much inside baseball for me. I would be very happy if maybe the admin committee actually put together a policy where we would do outreach and make sure that all nonprofit organizations in our community knew about the fact that we would be willing to provide water in these sorts of situations, and a process by which that gets done. And particularly if they're nonprofit, they wouldn't be charged. And if we did something like that to level the playing field so that it doesn't feel so much like inside baseball, I'd be enthusiastically in support of this. But until we get to that point, and by the way, I've made similar requests going back many, many years, and it just seems to be the same folks over and over again. I will say, for the first time, I think we did something with Boulder Creek, and I think that was the first one outside of the political insiders that we've had in the 8 years I've been on the board. So I was very pleased to see that, and I did vote for that because, in general, I want to support that kind of outreach in general, but not this one, not till we get to a more general policy in that. Also wanted to ask a question about the time. So we're looking at only $35 an hour for the staff time?
Yeah, that's what I calculated.
Is that fully burdened?
Yes.
Are you sure? Fully burdened, $35 an hour?
That seems low.
That seems very, very low.
It's an estimate.
Okay.
Well, even if it's doubled.
So it potentially could be double. Right. Okay. All right. Because I mean, when I see a specific number, I got to ask a specific question. If it was an approximation of, then, different situation. And I think for clarity, the Roaring Camp doesn't have a district connection. Isn't that correct? They have their own water source.
Actually, I reached out to the event organizers because we have another mechanism to supply water, and they informed me that there is no potable water source for that area.
Really?
They don't surprise me as well.
They don't offer water, drinking water at their, or they do it in bottles?
Henry Cal does, near their neighbor, but my understanding they don't.
Wow.
They serve food there, so I'm not sure, but
I'm surprised. Now, it may be they don't want to share. I get that. Right. And that may be the reason that they give.
Yeah, but Jesse did reach out to them and ask if they had.
Yeah, he got back, he did some research, got back to me. He said they actually use bottled water where they serve food.
Wow.
Okay, well, I mean, if that's, because I know well, I think they have, I mean, obviously they have water for non-potable reasons, but I mean, I know they do canning and all those sorts of things. I'm sure they're not, using bottled water for that.
I'm not sure on the exact details, but I believe they do have a spring somewhere up there that they use, they have that big tank.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
San Lorenzo Lumber also has that large redwood tank that's leaking. That's non-potable. That's from their spring.
Yeah.
So my guess is that's their source for the bathrooms and whatnot.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I knew they had water. I didn't realize it was non-potable. Okay. Well, anyway, I mean, I appreciate you bringing it to us. But yeah, I'll be,
One thing to add, we did supply water to the Scottish Day last year for the
Oh.
Benlum Village Alliance.
I don't think that came to the board though. right?
Probably not.
Yeah, but by the way, another reason to have a policy around this is I think there should be discretion given to staff around how to do this, as opposed to having to come to the board all the time. You know, a dollar figure or, you know, the outreach, all those sorts of things
Yeah.
covered in the policy. I think it's great to do that. Not this way.
We do have some upcoming events with Benlum and Village Alliance this summer, so I'll be sure to bring each one of those events to the board.
Let's get a policy going so you don't have to.
Yeah.
Can we suggest that goes to admin?
I think it'd be great to go to the admin.
That's where,
Yeah, that's
it's
where
a
it should go.
policy, that's where our
Right.
policy should.
And maybe come up with a, dollar figure. If it doesn't exceed X, then general manager has the ability to just
Yeah.
say yay.
Yes,
Just, I think the more outreach, the better personally.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing I'd ask is inform the board, but you can do that through an information item
Right.
and the board, it doesn't require any action.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Bob. Mark?
It provides positive public outreach. What are we doing there other than letting people fill up their water bottles or similar? In terms of outreach?
Well, in the past, we've had volunteers from staff,
Right.
just they're willing, just taking questions. I believe, Chris, you could probably speak on this. We have informational packets that we make available that people can grab and about our watershed and whatnot.
So will we? Okay, so that there's, some potential
Yeah.
benefit
Absolutely.
to the district, other than just we let people fill up their water bottle and we have our logo on it, and then the knowledgeable ones know, oh, this is coming from the water district.
I think having the brochures and the informational packets and all that is important.
Are there poster boards, just following up on that, poster boards that, for instance, talk about, leak detection or, low flow, just any of that stuff?
Anything like that.
Oh, that's a good idea. There's no post boards.
Anything like
Oh,
that.
yeah, I mean, that I think would go a long way.
Board set up that just provided basic information about some of our like CIP projects or about the district in general. We did have a setup.
But I guess I'm suggesting in specific things that actually individual customers might take away and say, oh,
right.
wow, I did notice a leak in the street here that I drive by every day. Maybe I should tell the water district about
I hear
it,
you.
right?
I don't want to suggest it as a project just to develop, but do we not have some informational materials sort of already available?
Like the
Yes.
Sand Hills poster
We have a
board?
whole tabling kit that
Okay,
we bring to
okay.
different
And
events. So
then
we
I
can-
would encourage, if this goes forward, that yes, that's.
Another admin bullet.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark. You're done.
Okay, I'm done. Yes, I'm done.
I think it's great and I've appreciated the comments from other directors. I think if it's not hard and doesn't take a lot of time to make it as educational and informative to customers that do come by and fill up, that would be great. So I think I'm all in favor of this as well. So I guess I'd like to move that the board of directors authorize
Point of order.
Yeah.
No,
Oh.
public comment
public comment.
and
Bruce,
maybe
so sorry.
online.
And no one online. Thank you,
Cheryl
everybody, for keeping me in line here.
There is somebody.
There's one person online. Cheryl Adams has her hand up.
Oh, Cheryl has her hand up. Scott, are you seeing that?
Yeah.
Oh,
Wait for you.
oh, so sorry. Okay. Cheryl, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Yeah, I've participated in Redwood Mountain Fair for the last several years for the radio station. It's a wonderful event, very family friendly, and all the private nonprofit agencies in the valley not only benefit from it because the funds are shared, but also we all participate in it as well. We work the event. So it's a wonderful opportunity to meet. It's a positive environment, family friendly, great place to interact with the entire San Lorenzo Valley community. And so I wholeheartedly, think that it's a great idea that there's a booth for the district and the water be shared with folks there. There are limited resources on the water there. I know for a fact that they do have bathrooms there, and the Bret Hart Hall has one faucet. And so that's not enough to supply everybody, especially for a giant fair like that. So it would be great to share some of our champagne tap water with the rest of the valley and showcase the great things that this water district does for the San Lorenzo Valley. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Yep.
All right. And no one else remote?
No.
Okay. And unless there's further discussion here at the board, I would like to move that the Board of Directors authorize the district to provide water service for the Felton Redwood Mountain Fair at Roaring Camp, consistent with past district practice and subject to coordination by the general manager.
Second.
President Russ,
Yes.
Vice President Lane,
Yes.
Director Smalley,
Yes.
and Director Foltz.
No.
Motion carries.
Thank you. All right. So moving on to the next agenda item.
Yeah, so it has come to light that we do not have a quorum for the regularly scheduled May 21st board meeting. So this item is being brought forth for the directors to consider an alternate day and to move the board meeting to that day.
Okay, so basically we're just kind of free surveying people here for what dates might work.
If they're available on a day, and then you guys can vote on having
Okay.
it that day.
Wow.
And if I may, we can also make it a regular meeting.
Yes.
We don't have to have it as a special meeting.
Okay, because sufficient notice is being
Yes.
made.
Yeah. We just are substituting a regular meeting from May 21st to pick a day.
Right.
So
Okay.
when we've gotten to this in the past, it's been a poll from staff,
Yeah.
sent
Doodle
sent-
or whatever.
exactly,
Yeah,
or
doodle.
similar, sent to directors to say, what's the availability?
Okay.
Because in particular, Brian's not here tonight,
Right.
so he can't voice in on this.
Is there a
Well-
particular window that we're looking for?
Well, I will say that week of the 18th, I'm completely gone. So I can't do it anytime, at least for me.
Next week, then there's gonna be another board.
Yeah.
meeting.
We do have quorum for the 21st.
No, we don't.
No, I am
Three directors
I
are
am
gone.
remote.
Oh, okay. I
That's the
thought just 2 were gone.
This is why having that in the policy man is important. I'm remote, so we would not have a quorum.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And I'm remote
That's the
most of the half.
I didn't know.
So, but my first question is to you, Jason. Do you have the need? From
Yeah.
what you're seeing from yourself and staff to have a meeting somewhere around the 21st?
No.
Well,
I mean,
I'm sorry, what? Say that again?
I'm trying to think of
No.
something
No,
that is
cancel.
pending for us to vote on.
As long as you got a pen.
Yeah, I got a pen and I got a phone, right?
Do we have anything about the loan docs that we have to deal with?
That is, no, you don't.
That you see
Okay.
coming up May, okay. Then my question is there a need for a meeting either earlier that week or the following week? And
Well,
if not,
Yeah.
well, certainly we've now pushed off 2 agenda items. The inspection, 9A.
Yeah.
And then also the board policy manual.
right.
So I guess the
Right.
question would be, do we want to try to address those before a month has passed?
Right. And do we need to figure this out tonight? Or Jason, do you want to go back
I
and
mean, let me-
think
let me
about
get another
this?
poll for that week and see.
And now that we know we don't have a quorum for the 21st, you can solicit then based on need.
I would just say, Bob, in terms of the board policy manual, that only gives you like a week. So
Yeah,
Is that enough?
That's probably gonna come back in June anyway.
in June.
Yeah,
anyway,
that's
so,
tight.
yeah, yeah. So June's probably better for that anyway. And the inspection stuff, I guess I was a little worried
You're gonna
that,
approve 2 of them. Well, hopefully you're gonna approve 2 of them tonight so that we can move
Yeah,
forward.
we keep
with the
moving
current-
forward before it
current
gets
projects,
denied.
Yeah.
But other than that,
So-
we're gonna, as needed.
okay, all right,
I would echo what Mark's saying. We
okay,
can move forward.
all right, so staff will poll us.
Send the poll out and see what's
Please don't do
available.
public comment, though.
And if you could include on that poll, if possible, whether it's remote or in person.
Yes, yes.
For quorum purposes,
Yeah,
because
of course.
I will be remote the entire second half of the day.
What do you?
Still to be determined. My
Right.
client is,
You determine that.
my client, my client is variable, shall we say.
Okay. All right, and I have been reminded to ask for any public comments on this agenda item. Okay, about having a different meeting at a different time. Okay, then let's move on to the next agenda item. I believe that's the long service line agreement, is that right?
Garrett?
Yes, that's correct. Thank you, President Russ. This is a long service line agreement before the board. The board previously looked at this same APN parcel on July 17th, 2025 and approved the long service line agreement. Unfortunately, our existing customer and his neighbor had some kind of disagreement about that long service line agreement, and so he wants to run it through his other neighbor's property, and that's why this matter came back to the board. We have an attached resolution to approve the long service line agreement. His existing service line is actually under a structure right now, so it's in his interest to have it easily accessible by relocating it, so there's no additional demand on the system. And so with that, I can take any questions you have.
Okay. Let me start with just a few questions. I noticed in the document, one place it quoted a $3,000 fee, another place it quoted $4,600.
Yeah, so the agreement would govern that $3,000 reference is a typo from the July 17th, 2025 memo that was.
Okay, so it should be 46.
Correct.
Okay. And then just for reference, about how long is this line?
I'm not sure the exact length of the line.
Okay, do you think it's like 100 yards or more or less? I'm just trying to get a sense of.
But
it's
the owners.
Yeah, our
No, I know.
responsibility is to the meter.
Just to the
So
meter.
we'll set the meter in the right of way, and then the customer will have to route the pipe to his property.
Here's a map of where it is. So Highway 9 is here.
And
There.
where would our
We
meter
come
be?
off 9, right?
Right off 9?
There's actually there's a 4-inch line that comes off of the main and Highway 9 that he would.
Goes up Monaco or just is right there?
It's basically in Highway 9 is where his meter will
Highway
be
9.
set.
Yeah. So that's kind of the distance. It looks like 300 feet, 400 feet, something like that.
Okay, I just.
More or less.
And then right now we're waiving the main extension requirement. And I just don't know what that means. Does that mean in 5 or 10 years, if if we need to extend the main line, then he's on the hook for his pro rata share? Is that how that works?
I think, we can require them to install a main that the district would basically take over and maintain. But instead of doing that, we're allowing them to do a long service line agreement.
So Bob, just to clarify on the long service line, that clause is to deal with the fact that in the future, let's say 3 more houses got built in that area.
Right.
The district may say, hey, we can't do long service lines anymore. We have to install a real line. At that point, everybody to be served by that line would have to pay pro rata into that, including people with long service lines.
Okay. So he could be pulled into that.
So he could be
in the
pulled into
future.
that in the
Okay.
future. But the upside of that is you're getting a much, much better service, right? Because it's coming off of a of a real main, not this
Right.
1 inch snake or 2 inch, whatever it is he installs.
Whatever he's gonna do.
Right. yeah.
Okay, thank you. Was he a previous customer? Was he
Yes, he's an existing customer.
He's an existing customer.
Yes.
Very good. Okay. That's it for my questions. Mark?
Other than the dollar amount that you're changing in here, is it changing the location of our meter?
He'll have a new meter.
Right.
Yeah.
But from what you presented to us back in July,
Right.
does it change anything?
Well, he had initially wanted to be, say, south of his property.
Okay.
Through that part.
So we
Instead,
are
he's gonna be
moving
north.
where the future
Yeah.
meter will be.
Exactly.
Okay.
So he's basically dealing with a different.
Right. Okay. All right. That's the only question I have then. So yes, there is reason for this resolution because it is changing location.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Bob?
Yeah, we've seen a lot of these over the years, and anything to get customers onto our system, I'm totally in favor of. I know they're already on our system, but to continue serving them in this case, big thumbs up. Thank you.
Very good.
Yeah, no comments.
Good, okay. Sounds like we're all good here. Any comments from the public or remote?
Not remote.
Okay. Very good.
I'll move that the board of directors adopt the attached resolution approving the long line service agreement for Lyle Wollert, property owner of APN 082-16123.
I'll second that. Thanks for adding in the other language.
Sure.
President Russ,
Yes.
Vice President Lane,
Yes.
Director Smalley,
Yes.
Director Foltz.
Yes.
Motion to pass and resolution will be adopted.
All right, thank you. All right, moving on to the next agenda item.
It's all Garrett now.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, thank you, President Russ. So the matter before the board is the Echo Tank geotechnical engineer construction support contract. So the district entered into an agreement with Hara Kucinich and Associates after the August 1st, 2024 meeting. We directly contracted with Hara Kucinich for the geotechnical investigations for the 5 tank sites included in the GWR tanks replacement project. We had an amount not to exceed $86,579. We've completed all the geotechnical reports. We have entered into the construction phase of the project. And so in order to complete construction phase services, Hara Kucinich has prepared a proposal. They've included discounted rates back to November 2025 rates to kind of give us a little bit better of a deal. And they've estimated that the total cost to do their observations and any testing would be not to exceed $49,456 for the Echo Tank site. That is roughly about 1% of the overall budget for the project. And so with that, I can take any questions you have.
Thank you. Bob, you have any questions?
I don't have any questions. I mean, I understand this is required and that we don't have the staff ourselves, correct, to do these services.
Correct.
The meta issue for me is what our strategy should be for acquiring these services, whether we do it bundle, cadence, case by case, what have you, in order to get the best overall price over time. I see a lot of these coming to us piecemeal. Maybe that makes sense. Maybe it doesn't. I think there, at some point in time in the future, we should have a discussion around that with some recommendations from staff on, is what we're doing the best way to do it? And to have board members weigh in on that based on financial or, other background that people may have. So not for tonight, but something I think, Bob, that we should put on the agenda for the future. Anyway, thanks for bringing this to us. Garrett, I'm in support of it.
Thank you. Mark?
I think it's likely that Anderson Pacific, because they're doing work on both of these tank sites, right?
Right.
That any of the earthwork that needs to be inspected, that's already been designed for, they're probably going to be doing that either almost concurrently or moving whatever the crew is that they have from this site to this site. Because it's cheaper for them as a contractor.
I would say, yeah, they will do this work in sequence.
Right.
However, the geotechnical engineer needs to be out there. For instance, tomorrow they're going to have bottom of footing exposed.
Yes.
For the entire ring. And that's a time when the geotech needs to come out and look and see if there's any issues.
Right. And understand that the geotech can't tomorrow go from this site to this site.
Well, the other site's not prepared.
Yes, and I understand that part of it. But if we told HKA, hey, give us a bid for these two sites concurrently in the package versus two separate proposals, is there some aspect of cost reduction, not for the geotech or the technician who's out in the field, because I don't see them, but the savings on all of the management aspects that they just build into on a standard to possibly, particularly for their senior geotech, to be able to look at these as one contract.
I would say, all the billing that we get has to be allocated to each asset. So when they come out to look at Echo, we need to know what to build to that tank.
Right.
And if they come to look at Redwood, we would have a separate bill
for
that tank.
Right. And I agree with that. But if a consultant is looking at these as, okay, I'm getting both of these potentially versus I'm getting, I'm going to bid on this one. Then I'm going to bid on this one. And maybe they're giving this one to somebody else or they're giving this one to there should, because you bid these to a contractor as a package, right?
Yeah, the economy of scale, we were hoping to get a better price.
So think about economy of scale when you're soliciting these services also, is what I'm asking.
So you might have missed my comment, which is at a meta level, we need to have agenda items.
I heard that.
Okay.
Yeah, I heard that part of it, the meta level. And that's kind of where I am with this one. I understand if they're out there doing work now, we need these services now. I'm not going to say go back and bring this back to us in a month. Yes, okay, I understand that. I'm asking you to think on that to Bob's word, the meta level of if you bid the two sites to a contractor, bidding the two, because you already have an engineering consultant doing, you got a package deal from them for all of the sites.
Yeah, initially we gave all 5 tanks to Hard Kucinich, and we gave all 5 tanks to Mississippi Miller. We gave all 5 tanks to GV Land Surveying.
Right. Yeah. So using that same process here to brought one memo to us with here's the package for these two. So in the future. Okay. That's the only comment I have.
Okay, Alina,
I don't have any of my own. I do really appreciate what Director Smalley just said, and I think that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, but I don't have any further comments or questions.
Yeah, regarding the meta question, in general, with the current CIP that we've got projected over the next few years, what's the average number of tanks we're building a year? I mean,
well,
it's like,
this year we're building 3 tanks.
3, okay. And
then
2 maybe?
Might build Felton Heights maybe next summer.
Okay.
We have to acquire the land. We
need
have to
money.
do the environmental, we have to finish the engineering design.
All right.
Because of how long it takes the county to split the land.
Right. So I guess the reason I bring that up is if you had said, oh, we're going to do 5 a year, then maybe there's real economies of scale in trying to get a bid for all of these things. I don't know if that's.
But he's done that with the engineering.
With the engineering, yes.
This isn't specific to tank. My meta question wasn't specific to tanks.
Okay, it's in
It was
general.
in general around
Okay.
how we approach the capital improvement process with all the various things that have to be done and how to get the best bang for the buck.
Right.
Right. No, that's fair.
Package.
So tanks, pipes,
Whatever.
whatever it is.
Right. And I think Garrett's memo for the on-call inspection services that we're going to talk about at a future meeting that got pulled from tonight is thinking along those lines.
Yes, I agree.
Is thinking, along those, so that we're not doing that on a one-off basis for each project. You got somebody on call. And maybe the same thing for, because we do geotech
That would be
often
great
enough.
if I had a geotech on.
If you had a geotech on call,
Yeah.
okay,
You'd be calling them all the time.
yeah.
Maybe.
On an as needed for project specifically.
Yeah, if I need something, I have someone I can call.
Right.
And then
Right.
I get, that'd be
So
great.
I think what you're hearing is we've got all these projects going forward. We're raising 16.5 million here very soon, right? So we want you to think out of the box in any ways that you can, reach some additional economies of scale. Go for it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great.
Another tranche 3 years from now, and another 3 years from now.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Versus self-funding, right? That's going to be our big issue in the future. All right. So unless there's any other comments from directors, I'm also appreciate that and glad to see that we're going forward. It seems reasonable. If you were to venture a guess on what do you think the range, like this one's 49,000, on likely eventual billing from them, just from your past experience? Are we looking at 30 to 50, or is it going to probably be at that 49 level?
Well, one of the reasons why I wanted to have distinct allocations of money for each tank was so that they couldn't use leftover money on another tank, and we can really try and hold them to the amount that they said they were going to do it for. And if we can come in under, then we don't have to pay that money. We just put it back into the general fund.
All right, good. Thank you. If there's no further discussion here at the board, anyone remote or public? Nope. Okay. Do I hear a motion?
Sure. I'll make the motion that the board directs the general manager to execute a professional services agreement with Haro Kucinich and Associates Incorporated for construction support for the Echo Tank in an amount not to exceed $49,465. 56, not 55. And authorize the general manager to execute non-substantive modifications as necessary.
Second.
President Russ,
Yes.
Vice President Lane,
Yes.
Director Smalley,
Yes.
and Director Foltz.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right. Well, you're just having way too much fun, Garrett.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so the next item is similar nature. This is for the Redwood Park tank for the geotechnical engineer construction support contract. It's an amount not to exceed $35,324. Again, we're getting a discounted rate, November 2025 hourly rates. The 35,000 is, roughly 1% of the overall construction contract, 3.5 million. I can take any questions you have.
I'm curious, did they volunteer that on their own, or did you ask them for a little help?
So after the last board meeting, there was some questions about prevailing wage, about the $260 an hour that they charge for a field technician, the $260 an hour they charge for a senior engineer. I had a talk with the principal and said, can he give us a better deal? And he said he would. And so that's why I was able to get these prices.
Good job.
It's still not as cheap as some of the other special inspection firms' hourly rates, but at the geotechnical engineer record, they really need to be part of the construction process.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, Alina, any questions?
No, I do appreciate to see that they showed up online to watch this though, so.
Yeah, I asked
There-
Moses to come on in case there were any questions that the board wanted to ask.
Yeah, I did,
the
so just,
principal.
thank you for that and being available. But yeah, no questions.
Thank you. Mark?
I appreciate your response, Garrett, to Director Russ's question on how we got to this. Good. Yes. I don't have any other questions.
Bob?
Yeah, copy.
Copy, okay, ditto. Good, you
So
got 3 dittos here.
So good.
Yeah, good work. Great, very good. Any comments from public? Bruce, we're counting on you. Okay, very good. All right, if there's no further comments, then entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion. The board directs the general manager to execute a professional services agreement with Haro Kucinich and Associates Incorporated for construction support of the Redwood Park tank in an amount not to exceed $35,324 and authorizes the general manager to execute non-substantive modifications as necessary.
Second.
President Rust,
Yes.
Vice President Lane,
Yes.
Director Smalley,
Yes.
and Director Foltz.
Yes.
Motion has passed.
Super. Hey. Wow, so I think we're through our open public items, and I think we're down to consents. Is that correct?
Yes, we are.
They are okay.
I would like to pull the board minutes, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
There's an error. I was not absent. I was absent for closed session.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for catching that. All right, we've got that. Okay,
Do we have to vote on it now, or does it fine? Get the procedure. for
think-
doing it?
Like, you did vote on the amended minutes.
Yeah,
But
Okay.
we have.
yeah, okay, yes, yeah.
okay. Bruce?
Thanks. I was not at the meeting and I did not watch the video. So I guess some people would just recuse themselves, but I can't help myself. Number 11, consent agenda. The approval of the minutes last time, it says approved by board consensus. So this is the word that I'm trying to eliminate. If it said approved by unanimous consent, then I have no argument, because the problem here is that, I mean, there's 2 problems. First problem is the water code says ordinance, resolution, motion. There's no such thing as consensus. It just doesn't happen.
It was approved by unanimous.
It was unanimous, but
Okay,
maybe
so-
it wasn't
so-
reflected.
Yeah,
But it
so
doesn't
it needs
say
to say the vote, because the Brown Act requires that the vote be shown on if there's any action taken. So this is a Brown Act violation in my estimation, just by not having a vote. Okay, that's the first thing. So after 11, usually comes 12, but not this time.
Usually 13 is dropped.
Yeah, I've been on some of the, number 16 says board comments. The board requested, well, the board didn't do anything there, because the only way the board does anything is by ordinance, resolution, or motion. So if there's a request, it has to be by motion. If there was a motion, there needs to be a vote. So the board didn't do anything. I can see that here. And this is the kind of thing you have to get out of your minutes. You have to find a way to not have this sort of thing be happening. But I looked at the agenda, and on the agenda the adjournment is number 15. But here it's shown as number 17. So what happened here, you're off by 2, but the reason you're off by 2 is because 12 got dropped and 16 got added. So where it says 16 board comments, that is a fabrication. There was no item 16. And if there were any board comments, that was unagendized. You took off and had a discussion about something that was unagendized. So I'm only talking about one page of the minutes here, but I detect two Brown Act violations. I don't know how to fix the one last time that you had board comments when you didn't even have it on the agenda. But you have board comments on this agenda too, and I've got more to say about those board comments later, but please don't approve these minutes. Thank you.
I would suggest we send it back to staff, have them review the video. Make it appropriate.
Because my recollection was that we did by unanimous
Unanimous
consent
consent, yes.
approve the minutes. And the board comments, maybe that's the wrong thing, but this was, directors have the right at the end to suggest, or not to suggest, but to ask for agenda items in the future, right?
But here's the thing. I would have opposed that, and I never made that request. So when it says the board made, it's all.
Right, you're right.
And I
It's not the board.
would have said absolutely not.
Right. So that's something that needs to be modified in the final minutes. Right. Right.
Now we
Okay,
do
that would
address
be a
this,
director request.
we do address this in the board, the proposed board policy manual. And it has specific things around that tie directly to
Yes, it does.
code.
What can be proposed or not.
I actually think the order of those were flipped too.
Okay.
I think that's how it happened.
Anyway, let's just send it back and
have them look
Yeah.
at it again.
All right, Leah, if we could just check those.
Yeah.
Lena might be right. They may be switched in order. And it does sound like we have remembered basically unanimous consent to the minutes, because I was certainly trying to make sure that happened. And I do appreciate the comment on consensus. I think we understand that and appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, so it sounds like we're sending the minutes back for editing, and then we'll have to approve those at the next board meeting. All right, are there any district reports that we have today? I don't think so, right? Nothing. Okay.
It's not on the agenda.
And no idea, I'm looking at the old agenda. Yeah, sorry. Okay. Marching here. Yeah, and no informational, no written. No directions from directors, nothing to add.
well, again, having the board comment on there and the way that is written is, in my opinion, a violation of the Brown Act and should not be on there.
Okay.
Because the board did not make that request.
Right. Well, and so in the future, we need to choose the right agenda topic name.
It is subject to legal review. It is covered in the proposed.
Do you recall what it is?
There were 5 things.
So why don't we go back and look at that?
Okay.
Exactly.
So we just need to clean up our language.
There's no board comment tonight.
No.
And no directors, no director comments.
There's no
comments. Okay. All right. Wow, I think we are there. So I guess I will assume unanimous consent that we're adjourning tonight, unless I hear an objection to that.
Do we need to vote no on the minutes, or did they just get sent back?
No.
Okay. All right.
Okay. All right. No objections to adjournment tonight, then great. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening, the rest of it.
All the time.
Thank you.
Usually you call the time.
Oh, it's the time, yeah, thank you. 8:56. Thank you, Lynn. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you, Gage.